who's to say that he couldn't make references to Dragon Ball Heroes, which I'm sure will make a lot of people happy, but I'm not going to put all my eggs in that basket. But hey, the theme song was fire. Super Dragon Ball Heroes. Oh, okay. Let's move
every
on.
now and then it's still cool to see like just some like, whoa, what the heck, Super Saiyan 4 Gohan? Like, what is this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like that. I
Like,
mean,
it's fun, as stupid as it is, but it's just like I'll look at the picture, but I'm not watching that episode.
all right, guys. The moment y'all have been waiting for. We got a lot of responses to go through, so I'm gonna try to read through as many as them as humanly possible. So, on that note, it is now that time for your question of the day. Okay. And per usual, I asked, would you want to see a Broly arc upon Dragon Ball Super's anime return? So I know we were already kind of like talking about this, right? In the last episode, but I figured I would use this as a question of the day so that way I can get some fan comments and we can go off of that, because obviously if you guys want to hear what we spoke on, check out the last episode obviously. But let's see what you guys were saying in the comments. And as per usual, if you're a Thriving Wizard over on the Patreon page, y'all gonna get read first. So here we go. So this person says, honestly, no. The movie presented everything pretty neatly, and I would rather the studio spend more time adapting the manga-only arcs. You know what? That's fair. That's fair. Y'all got anything to elaborate on that?
I agree.
You agree?
Mm-hmm.
Straight up. Okay, JD, anything?
Yeah, I agree to a point. Like, I don't know how deep I want to get into it, but yeah, like I feel like using the energy towards those extra arcs, especially since there's a lot of fan requests to see them animated.
Yep.
You don't really have to like try to outdo something that was as good as Broly.
That's facts. I mean, yeah. That is facts. All right, so then let's go on. So this next person, they said yes, only if Broly has kids with that girl lady, and then they can make a family arc. Wow. That I was not expecting.
Yeah.
I will completely admit.
That was a corner of the internet question.
That was definitely a corner of the internet. And I will also say, Geekdom has made it a point to put out there that Chilai is just straight up Broly's girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, there's no real...
I remember him.
You remember him being on that shit? Like, there's no actual, like, evidence to prove that. Like, just because she showed that she cared for him and that he obviously, like, was just looking out for her too, that doesn't just automatically make them, like, a couple. You know what I'm saying? Like, that just sounds insane.
They've been shipped.
Yeah,
it's shipped. That's it.
It's an easy ship, right? And like, if you want to leave it at that, then great. But Geekdom was going far. He's like, bro, if you don't think Broly was clapping her cheeks, right? Like, this is the shit that he would be saying to me. And he would be on his own streams being like, hey, look, guys, it's Uchi. Everyone please tell him that Chilai and Broly are there. I'm like, dude, relax, right? But no. I do think it would be funny if it's at some point in the story, they do end up being like an item and they do have a child and they name their kid Bruce. And he comes out green. Just saying.
That would be so sick.
Just saying. I mean, Shalai already got the green. He's all about the green.
Yeah, that would be
like,
funny.
He's raging out. Like, if they did that shit, that'd be fucking hilarious. Okay, this next person. Hell yeah. It would be the actual complete story Akira Toriyama intended to give us. All right. And not the cut down version we was given in the movie, meaning we would get more backstory on Broly and the Saiyajin, especially seeing Broly's great ape forms and Goku's father, Bardock's backstory. So, hey, listen.
Yeah.
That's all facts.
People do forget that like half of that movie is or not half, but like the first third is the retelling of the Bardock movie.
Basically.
And if they did the anime version, it'd basically be like a truncated, or not a trunk, but like an expanded version of that, which could be interesting too. I still am curious as to like which part of the movie did get shaved down from Toriyama's like original vision of
Right.
the movie, because like, was it more Bardock stuff that got cut, or was it a bunch of Broly stuff that got cut, or a mixture of both? Like, where was he going with it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like
Oh.
if a lot of it was just like, Broly on the planet before, like while he was trying to survive, that necessarily wouldn't be stuff I want to see in the anime just dragging, but if it was more story explanation about, Paragus and Broly or something like that could work,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe more epilogue stuff,
Yeah.
but it depends.
Yeah. That makes sense. Do you have anything?
I mean, I'm past it.
You're just so past it to the point where you don't even want them to touch that
I mean,
anymore.
if they want to, like, like if they were to bring it, like once they bring it back and stuff like that, to kind of, I guess, introduce Broly,
Uh-huh.
like to the actual anime itself, not just from the movie, I believe. Yeah. It wouldn't be like a bad thing to like bring in certain parts of the movie, maybe like I forget the fucking word. I'm trying to look for it. Like for us to remember,
Yeah.
parts of the movie,
Like
and
a
then
recap,
yeah,
to
pretty
recap.
much like a recap. Yeah.
Mm.
Like a recap of the movie. I wouldn't mind something like that to kind of just reintroduce the Broly's in the anime, blah blah blah, and then we go into like the current. Maybe like if they're gonna introduce the whole Moro arc first, or I don't know how that shit panned out in the anime. Like what came
Yeah, like
first.
what was the timeline? Because
Yeah.
Yeah.
Broly takes place after all of that, right?
Broly
No, no,
takes
no.
no.
It's Broly, then Moro,
Yeah.
then Granola,
And then
Mm-hmm.
then
superhero.
Superhero. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay.
Yeah. And then, well, if you want to be super technical, you can even say the precursor to superhero that happened in the manga, where it's like the
Yeah,
Trunks
you're
and
right.
Goten
Yeah,
John. Yeah.
yeah.
So I will also say this, that I don't. So, all right. I know in the last episode, I was so hyped that I exaggerated the hell out of what I wanted, where I was like 30 episodes. That's even a lot. I said originally said 50. Then I was like, okay, no, let me do 30. But realistically, when you think about it, if Toriyama wrote a 3-hour movie, if they break that up, that's what? That's like 9 episodes, if that, right? If they were to do that as anime episodes. Now, granted, maybe just make it 10, right? 10 episodes of just what he wanted to fully flesh out, but broken up into episodic, episodes. I don't think is that bad when you think about it like that.
Like Daima style.
Yeah, because it's like what I'm asking for, because obviously Broly's my favorite character. What I want to see is more Broly. But what I don't want to see is, I don't want to see anything that would potentially hinder what we already saw from that movie. I'm only interested in seeing what was cut out, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, those things that got cut out could just add more substance to what we already know, but then it could also introduce some other questions that then play into other things that happen that we may not have even seen yet. And what I'm trying to get to here is, when you watch the opening to Daima, there's a blue headband that's wrapped around a pole and it's just waving in the wind. And I peeped that frame one and I'm like, whose headband is that? Okay. So I'm over here wondering, well, maybe that headband belongs to a character that we will be introduced to later on in the story. And in my mind, I'm over here thinking way too outside the box. And I know that everyone remembers Bardock to have a red headband. And I'm just thinking, well, if Toriyama's out here just having fun writing Daima, imagine if he took elements from I think it was the History of Bardock 3 episode special, where it's the story of what happened to him after the
that
Frieza
whole
blew up planet Vegeta, and he somehow got blasted into the past, and then he becomes a Super Saiyan and he fights his ancestor Chilled. Okay,
he was the legendary Super
he
Saiyan.
yeah right he was the
remember that.
legendary. So okay, so I bring all that up because I'm just like, well, what if Toriyama takes those concepts and applies it here, and like somehow, some way, it's like through Bardock's story of what happened after he got blasted, whatever he goes through, and he ends up getting some like a blue headband or something like that, and that was his, and that's a tease out of Daima. I'm tying all this into what we're talking about from this question of the day, because literally that could be one of those things that they show in those episodes where it's like they are all going through it. Bardock has a funny feeling like they're about to get all fucked. He's right. But then there's some extra something that, it's like one of those things that fans always played around with. Like, oh, like, did he truly die? Was there not a single survivor? And even though it's even said straight up, as clear as day, where they're like, there's no more forms of life left in this vicinity. So it's like, all right, like, was dead is dead is dead. That's fine. Okay. So I just think it would be super fun.
You know what I think makes these complicated?
Well,
is because, like, I don't know how you felt about the retellings of like Resurrection F or like Battle of Gods, but like for both of those, they're both cases where story-wise they did expand on certain things, where like especially in Resurrection F, like I remember there being some character beats and that whole thing with Captain Ginyu and stuff that like you didn't get.
Oh
in the movie.
yeah,
Kind of wasted
like
time.
yeah, which was like it was like silly, but it was part of like it's in line with Dragon Ball humor, but it also was like not really necessary. But I do also remember like the ending was different too, like the whole ending of the how like Resurrection F played out in the anime was different than in the movie, but also like just the movie for both was better in terms of the action, in terms of the animation,
right.
and it's like with something like Broly, where it's probably like one of the peak anime, like shonen anime movies, right?
It's the best one.
Like
It's the best one.
like an anime version of that. If you don't have the same type of quality, like if they don't, like they would have to, pull out all the stops with the animation if they want to even touch it.
Yeah.
And then granted, it's like if it's a TV show budget, it's not going to be exactly the same, but you need to at least be in competition with it, and you don't want it to be like like what happened with Resurrection F and Battle of Gods, where people are taking still frames and it looks like it's trash.
Well, nah. See, I think those days are done. I feel like whenever Super comes back, I have a really great feeling that they are not gonna fuck around and try to rush, because it's a different atmosphere now. Like Daima, they had time to actually produce it so that there's no qualms or anything that we as fans have to worry about on an animation front. They got all the best animators all lined up and signed up to work on Dragon Ball. So whenever it's time to bring Super back in, they're gonna, I would hope, treat it the same way. And I honestly, I don't care if it becomes one of those, it becomes one of these shows where it's like seasonal.
Well, but honestly, that's probably the wave. Because
it has to be.
If you look at Bleach,
shout out.
There's a good reason why Bleach has been going crazy for a lot of people animation wise, because and it's the same studio that did the original. It's just they have time and they have more talent. But it's like I don't need Super to be weekly. I don't need the fillers. Like even if they're fun fillers, I don't need them.
Don't
just give me good quality, because it's like Dragon Ball is like the premier shonen anime, right?
Yeah.
And you want your fight scenes to go crazy.
Right. Yeah.
So that's all you need to do, just deliver, you know. So hopefully when they come back, that'll be the case. But like so far in Daima, like it's looked good. You have yet to see like a fight, but I'm assuming once they get to it, you know, it'll at least look pretty decent, you know.
Yeah. All right, so let me read this next person. So now I'm finally moving over to the YouTube comments. Again, guys, I did ask this on the Full Power Podcast community tab channel as well as my own, just so I can get as many responses and to see the overall votes. And so for the Full Power Podcast channel, not only did I ask the question I did, but I did have a poll as well. And so out of 27 votes, 85% of people said yes, while 15% said no. Now, here are some of the comments that we got. This person says, yes, more Broly and Toriyama's extended version of the destruction of planet Vegeta. So, yeah, so we were talking about that already. This next person said, animation needs to be on point. We don't want no 240p Broly. Bro, listen, we ain't never have to worry about that, okay? Like I just mentioned, those days are over. I'm sure that, especially now in 2024, and you know, whenever that would if it were to happen, 2025, 26, whatever, like we're in the age now where they cannot cut corners and they can't rush anything anymore because the standards have been raised way too high, and the way people react, not just with videos, but just like instantaneous reactions, immediate reactions. Like an episode drops and people are already either loving it, bashing it, and spoiling it for the whole world. So it's like, unless you're muting your Twitter, you're muting all your accounts, you're going to see shit whether you want to or not, because that's how the media and the information with that media moves. So, yeah, ain't got to worry about no 240p Broly. This next person says, why the fuck would anyone want to see that? They'll just retcon stuff from the movie like Battle of Gods and Resurrection F. It won't look anywhere near as good as the movie, and everyone knows what's going to happen. It'd just be a waste of time.
Waste of time.
Wait, did you write this comment?
Nope.
I know. Shit.
Sounds like me, though.
That'd be funny.
Yeah, right?
Sounds like me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, well, yeah, I guess you could call it a negative comment, but I mean, I don't want to call it negative. Like, it's just someone that's on the opposition. Like, they obviously don't want to see it, thinking all of the things that we're literally already talking against. Like, you know, I personally think if they were to bring it back, I don't think they would retcon anything. I feel like they would just leave what has been done as is. And you want to know why? Because Toriyama did it. I feel like now of all times, may he rest in peace, I think they're not going to have the balls, the Dragon Balls. They're not going to have it to just be like, all right, let's change this now. Even though he already wrote the script for the movie, even and like, let's say we're doing the anime for it now. Let's alter some. No. It's like the only thing that they're going to alter is they're going to add in what they cut out. That's the only thing. So I wouldn't worry about retcons. And then, I mean, the movie did look good, but again, if we're talking, they have time to produce it, I don't see why the anime version wouldn't look as good or better.
Yeah, I don't think the anime or the animation style would drop necessarily, especially like with all like these animes that are coming back.
And that's what I'm saying.
Like, I don't think Dragon Ball would stoop so low to drop the animation quality, because I wouldn't watch it. Like,
that's mad funny.
But you know, I wouldn't worry too much about the animation. I'm pretty confident that they won't fuck that up. As far as bringing back the movie into the anime,
yeah,
I personally don't want it.
I know.
But
that I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty chill.
Anything to add, JD, or I could keep reading these?
No, you can keep reading them.
All right.
same thoughts.
So we're still on YouTube, guys, except now this time I asked the poll on my channel, and this one received 131 votes. 82% saying yes, 18% saying no, and some of the responses. So this person says, if they animate the whole 3-hour script, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. This next person says, the way I see this planned out is that if they what, okay, I'm reading it verbatim, so excuse the grammar, but if they keeping Dragon Ball going while the manga is still going, they would have to start doing the Broly movie into an arc with some new changes and then go to Moro with some filler and then go to Granola arc, and after that adapt superhero into an arc.
No filler.
I don't think that, so
Worst idea ever.
So this person is coming from a place that is conditioned.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, people think, yeah, that's weird.
Like, this is almost like in wrestling. Like, as wrestling fans, we are conditioned to expect certain things to happen on a weekly basis when it comes to the television, to the programming, the scheduling, the pay-per-views, like match outcomes. Like, say a ref gets distracted, this person's losing.
Mm-hmm.
Say a ref gets distracted, someone's going to interfere. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are conditioned as fans to expect certain things to happen because we're used to it being that way for an extended period of time. When it comes to this in Dragon Ball, and I guess you could say for anime as a whole, but really specifically for Dragon Ball, I don't think this flow chart of how they would have to turn it into an arc and then with changes to then go into Moro, then introduce filler. No.
I think anime is past fillers. Well, maybe not all, but majority. Because they understand that it's quality over fucking quantity.
Yes.
Yeah, like filler only happens in a few situations. It only happens if the anime is running too close to the manga and the anime wants to keep going.
Right.
They'll do filler. Or let's say it's one of those cases, like, where an animation studio or like they just start getting lazy or stop respecting the source material and they just make their own ending, like we've seen. And some cases that can be good, some cases not so good.
Yep, correct.
And in other case, but the vast majority of the times it happens is with like an ongoing show, like a Naruto or a One Piece,
right?
Or whatever, and
Bleach.
They catch up to the Bleach, and they catch up to the
bounce.
manga, and then they have to they have to do filler so they don't overwrite it. But again, in this era, it's like you have multiple arcs built up already, and there's no reason to do filler.
Exactly.
And I think the only reason why they did filler with Dragon Ball Super before is because there was no manga precedent, so they probably were still figuring that shit out.
Well, they were in a unique situation because the manga technically started before the anime did when it first started, but like the way they structured it was like it doesn't matter like who gets ahead of who because
they weren't even like 1-to-1 really.
Well, right.
They would do arcs in the anime and arcs in the manga that they wouldn't be 1-to-1. They still aren't 1-to-1.
Yeah, like
I'm pretty sure like the Tournament of Power in the manga, Gohan had the Piccolo gi. Right?
Yeah, he had the Piccolo gi, and Roshi was the one who essentially upstarted Goku's Ultra Instinct. Like Roshi low-key did it against Jiren in the manga. We never got that in the anime.
Fuck?
Yeah, and I told you that shit too. I remember telling you on whether it was here or like outside the podcast, but yeah, like the whole point is that Dragon Ball being in a very unique situation is like, listen, we have an anime, why not have a manga? People are gonna eat this shit up, and it's just like a revolving door, And the same with the movies. So it's like, and Geekdom actually said this really well too. He goes, if you want to be technical, Dragon Ball has like 3 continuities, but but you can enjoy it how in whichever way you want. But that can be dangerous because then it's just like, oh, what do you take as your canon because of what you want to happen? Or like, you know what I'm saying? Because like another thing that happened in the manga that didn't happen in the anime only up until the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie was Vegeta going Super Saiyan God. We never saw him going Super Saiyan God, but we saw him in the manga going Super Saiyan God. And then it wasn't until the fucking Broly movie happened, and that's when we see him doing that form for the first time on screen. So it's like, so it's like they're linear in which like they are both following the same path, but they're taking different like routes but meeting the same checkpoints. So that's like ultimately like the most important thing out of that. But yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about filler or anything like that going forward, especially with Dragon Ball. But I will admit, if it has anything to do with Great Saiyaman, oh, I'm all in. You already know. I'm over. You know what I'm saying? I'm all about my fucking Great Saiyaman.
Oh, that's that good.